We will also, again, lobby very strongly for improving funding modalities. There's a lot of money goes into the system instead of directly funding teaching or research. So this is something where we have strong recommendations. And the final point, I've already mentioned that the support of leadership development and professionalization of management is one of the key issues if successful diversification is meant to take place. Now let me come as a final point to what institutions can do. We asked in our study university leaders what they think actually what are the institutional obstacles in order to implement a successful diversification strategy. And the number one, 80% mentioned, is actually lack of information or awareness among the academic community. So this is one of the key challenges that you as institutional leaders will have to get the academic community on board, because in the most number of cases getting income from other sources will need to be done by the academic community. We have also 70% is that there is a fear that this would divert them from the core mission and the core activities. Very interesting, and this has been also confirmed by a lot of site visits, internal structures, the lack of having efficient decision-making structures hinders institutions to take up opportunities. Just one example on that, we had in a region where a couple of universities had an opportunity where the national broadcasting company wanted to set up a major facility in that region, and there was a smaller institution who sort of offered to be a partner in that, and a larger institution, they had actually quite a good offer, but it took the larger institution much longer to go through the decision-making process, whereas the smaller institution, where they could really decide rather quickly on that, they got basically then the offer. So you can see this has also a very high impact. Still 67% of university leaders say that actually there's a lack of managerial expertise in institutions to really take this forward, just to mention a couple of them. Now we have identified 6 points extracting from a really diverse group of institutions that we think are 6 points for successfully integrating a diversification strategy. So the first one is really that you need to identify the strengths and specificities of your institutions. It is very clear that not all institutions can do the same things. So what you really need to think at the start is, what can we actually do best? What is our strength? What is our niche? And you need to integrate this in your strategy. There's also no point in doing something that has nothing to do what your main mission is. This is the first important part. The second part is really you need to scan your environment. You need to look at what are actually the perspectives of getting income. I think this is very good exercise to really look at this in a strategic approach. Many institutions who usually act on a national level, very often they don't look at the regional or local level. So there is still a lot around. So scan the horizon as a second step. The third one, you've already heard that invest in people, leadership and management. This is really key on taking it forward. If you want to, let's say, start fundraising, you need to have professional staff of doing that. You need to bring in experts, and sometimes you also need to bring them from outside the sector. If you want to advance in your financial activities, you need to have people who can deal with that. Communication, we found communication as a very crucial point, both internal communication as well as external communication. communication. The internal communication, you as institutional leaders need to be able to create this case for need to change or for commitment of the community. If the broader community in your institution thinks, well, everything's fine, everything is how it used to be, then it's very difficult to argue the case. So you need to bring them into the boat. External communication, this is, we found in a large number of cases, really underestimated. I mean, we're working also very often with foundations, and we had an interesting case where a bank, for example, said in one of our workshops, well, in my region there are lots of universities and I have lots of rich people who want to create foundations, but I don't know what's happening in these universities, so I can't really advise them to put the money in there. So that really shows that actually there needs to be much more proactive approach to show to potential funders what we actually do, the great things that you do. So that's a very important